What's up YouTube, Webbers5 here, coming at you today, finally, with an update to my Endymion deck. So guys, before we get into the profile, I want to apologize that it's taken me so long to do this update, but essentially around the time people requested me to start doing an update, basically I was still really trying to figure out what to do with the deck, and then naturally around that time Power of the Elements was only a few weeks away. Now Power of the Elements is here, so naturally I needed to figure out what changes I need to make to deal with Power of the Elements, and compliments of some testing I did over the weekend thanks to some of the guys from my gaming group. I pretty much got the idea of what I want to do this format, so now I'm happy to give the profile out there. And also, before we get into the profile guys, I want to do a couple of shout outs. So firstly, shout outs to Omar CU, who has been absolutely hyped and wanting me to do this update. So yep, here's the update, and I hope you're not disappointed with it. And also feel obligated to do a shout out to One Felix for recommending that I try again with the Sorcerer package. Because yeah, frankly, I've noticed in the past few styles of doing the deck, I kind of need the extenders, and they're just really good extenders. And also, I found that by playing them, I now have access to something else as well, which I will get into, well, when I do the profile. But, so without further ado guys, let's get into this profile. Okay guys, so starting the profile off as usual, the Endymion engine, which essentially has not changed again. So I'm playing 3 Mighty Master, 1 Reflection, 1 Magister, 1 Servant, and 3 Spellbound Mastery. So I have noticed a lot of builds from cutting Mighty Master down to 2. I'm actually partially tempted to do so, but I want to test it around a bit first and see how desperately I need him at 3. Also guys, one of the things you might notice with my deck is I'm now officially double sleeving my deck. This was based off a recommendation by one of the guys at my locals who recommended I start doing it simply on reason of the number of high value cards that I play in my deck, which frankly he's not wrong with. The only thing I find issue with having double sleeves is slightly more difficult to shuffle, and since I like to switch around lots of cards in my deck, it's kind of annoying. But I'll give it a shot. Next, Mythical Beast engine, playing 2 Cerberus, 2 Jackal King, 1 Basilisk, and 2 Institution. So I've taken a look at some other builds. I've noticed that a lot of players are cutting Institution to 2, just on simple reason that they don't really like seeing it at the wrong time, and I completely agree with them. There's a lot of times I'm seeing Institution and I just don't have the Mythical Beast to take advantage of it. I currently opted to change Garuda into Basilisk on simple reason that, despite the fact I really like Garuda's ability to bounce a monster and to snipe back row, it just really is not coming up very frequently. It's also just essentially really good on turn 2, but that's only after I've set up a turn 1, so going first, if I hit it, it really doesn't do too much unless I've already set up my board. But going second, it's only decent to snipe a back row. But Basilisk at least has the effect that I can I can set it in scale, pop it, shuffle back a spellcaster and get a draw, so I've got that recursion and draw power as well. I am thinking of pumping Cerberus back to 3, but like I said, I'm currently testing around a bit, so I'll just wait and see first. Next with the spell, 3 copies of Magical Abductor, essentially just the next best thing to Servant, and her ability to just search any pendulum is really useful now. Well, not just now, it was always useful, but a bit more useful now. I'm also finding that with Abductor being a level 4 and this format we're going into, it's really useful, so it also gives me the nice option of something else in my extra deck, which I will get into when I get to my extra deck. Next, sorry. Spellbook engine, which has not changed. 1 Magician of Prophecy, 2 Secrets, and 1 Knowledge. I've noticed a lot of people dropping the Secrets to 1. That is it's a tempting idea. I might think about it, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it too, just as a way that if I see one if I already have the secrets and then I do Crowley, I could just send the secrets from my hand as opposed to getting rid of my monster, which sometimes I might need, but with some of the newer engines I'm playing, maybe I'll just switch it around, but we'll see. Next, my field spell package. 1 Terraforming, 1 Citadel, 2 Necrovalley, and Gravekeeper's Commandant. So guys, this format, I know that the majority of decks are going to be Sprites and Tearlaments, which I know both are quite heavy on the grave. Maybe Sprites not so much as Tearlaments, but I know Tearlaments are absolutely huge on the grave, but I know if I can go Necrovalley, that will just screw them over and it doesn't really hold me back very much. Commandant, just another way to go into the Necrovalley as well. I am also thinking about throwing in a copy of Necrovalley Throne just as another way to try and go into the Necrovalley to see how much I need it. But first I wanted like maybe have a tournament at my locals, see how many people are like using these strategies, how much graveyard stopping is useful, and if it is, probably going to add in a Necrovalley Throne. Next, as I said at the start, went back into testing the Sorcerer package, so now I'm playing 1 Astrograph, 1 Stargazer, 3 Chronograph, and 1 Time Gazer. Like I said, guys, I've been struggling with needing extenders, and this is just an amazing extension package. These Star and Time Gazer naturally can be a bit of a brick. Stargazer probably a bit more than Time Gazer, because Stargazer I can't just at least normal summon out of my hand if I need to. But I'd rather have them for I'd frankly rather have them for the extension than not. And also because of Astrograph and Chronograph stats, they're pretty useful for something I'm playing in my side deck, which is actually quite strong this format, which I will get into when I get to the side deck. And then also, naturally, Time Gazer's monster effect to prevent scales from being destroyed once per turn. Pretty good. Next, my trio of one-off spells. 1 Upstart Goblin, 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Instant Fusion. Because naturally, Upstart, Quick Draw. Pretty much self-explanatory, guys. Don't really need to go into that. And then last card I'm playing in the deck. This was recommended to me by some of the guys at my local based on the format we're going into, that essentially you kind of need to be maining a board breaker of some sort. So I'm playing 3 Dark Ruler No More in the main. Just sometimes I get those matchups where like my opponent goes huge, hits me under like Baron or various other Floodgate disruptions. So Dark Ruler will just at least give me a chance to play. And guys, you might notice that I've opted to take out the Magician's Souls engine. Yeah, I do like him as an extender and draw power, but one of the things I've definitely noticed with Magician's Souls is that he's only exceptionally good with the Magician's Restage engine, which, don't get me wrong, is very good. But since I'm in the position that I'm opting to play a Necrovalley engine, naturally the two engines kind of conflict with one another. So unless I do the Magician's Soul stuff first, and then I finish by playing the Necrovalley, that's the only way they work together. But sometimes I need to play the Necrovalley to get the spell counters. So that's why I've opted to stop playing the engine. Okay, so that's it for the main deck. And another thing I should point out, and like I said, guys, the other things I'm thinking about with the main deck is I might go back to playing 3 Cerberus. I'll probably take out 1 copy of Endymion if I do, but I just want to test around and see how things go. Other thing I'm thinking of is, since naturally I'm going back into the Endymion side, the Necrovalley side of it, thinking about adding my Gravekeeper Shaman back into the deck. So for guys who don't remember me playing this, Shaman's basically a soul drain which prevents monster effects from activating in the grave. Also prevents Also protects Necrovalley from being destroyed, which is really useful. But I'm not sure about playing her now because since I'm not playing Magician's Souls, there's less easy ways to access it outside of the Necrovalley throne, which naturally can search a Gravekeeper. But I'll think about it. And naturally, because she's a non-pendulum, unless I have the ability to pendulum summon, she can be a bit of a brick. Okay, so going into the extra deck, playing one copy of Beyond the Pendulum. Sumter. This is definitely a good resource for me because with the other because naturally my normal main spellcasters you start off into would be Crowley simply because of the spellbook engine. However, if I'm in the position where I need to just go through the spellbook engine first to just get some additional plays, then I don't exactly have a reason to summon Crowley, but Beyond the Pendulum is a nice backup option, and naturally her other effect to pop cards can come up, not very frequently, but it can happen. But it's happened once or twice, which is quite useful. And naturally, Beyond the Pendulum Surge is usually one of those surges that 9 out of 10 times you will probably get off because your opponent is aware of Beyond the Pendulum's restriction effect that after you search, until you Pendulum Summon, you can't activate monster effects, so they know, okay, they can't do anything else. So they're probably less likely to respond to this. But if they do respond to it, that's at least another hand trap baited out. But naturally, they're going to base it on your resources. Next, 2 copies of Selene. I dropped this from 3 to 2 because frankly I really didn't need the third one that much and I wanted to make some space for some other things. So 2 I feel is fine. And naturally, because I'm playing Necrovalley, I'm not really going to be summoning spellcasters from my grave with it. Next, 1 Access Code Talker, OTK. 1 Appaloosa. Don't go into this frequently, but sometimes she comes up and she can be pretty useful and clutch at times. 1 Masquerena. Again, doesn't come up as frequently anymore, but still nice option to have. 1 Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. Started playing this once DP became a main thing, but now it seems to have shifted out, but still, Dark's a decent prominent attribute, so pretty easy to go into it, and so pretty easy for me to summon Dark, rob a monster, then I can go into a Link 3 like another Selene and go off from there. Unless I'm under Necrovalley. 1 Nightmare Unicorn, naturally the main target, one of the main targets for Masquerena. New edition, 1 Line of the Light Charmer Lustrous. So I threw this card in because I do have a couple of lights in my deck, and because of decks like Eldritch and a few other things sometimes it might come up. I'm not entirely sure about her, but I would like to give her a try for the moment and see what happens. Next, 1 Mech Knight Crusader Avramax. I just thought why not? If I've got, say, a Masquerena and Selene, that's just the very easy way of going into it, and then also protect a specific monster from being attacked. 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. She's been very useful to me in my past few tournaments, both as a way to remove a specific monster from my opponent's board without having to worry about its effects. Another thing that was really useful about her in a tournament I played, she was my 5th summon against my. She was my 5th summon on my turn. My opponent tried to Nibiru me. And then I remembered her effect that during the turn she's Link Summoned, she's unaffected by my opponent's activated effects unless they target. And since Nibiru doesn't target, she was unaffected, which meant after I did my 5th summon of Underworld Goddess, my opponent's like, Nibiru. I'm like, okay, cool, you get nothing. And then I just smack for 3k. And then last link monster I'm playing, Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. So this I just threw in because I had the space, and I figured with the format we're going into, it might be pretty useful. So gonna give this a try. So that's it for my link monsters, and then for the non-links I'm playing, one Abyss Dweller, naturally with Tearlaments. I'd like to have more options of stopping their graveyard effects. Essentially does the same thing as Gravekeeper's Shaman of switching off monster effects in the grave. So I just kind of wanted the extra option, so I kind of thought I should have the option of having it since I had the space in my extra deck, so I went for it. And then last card, my instant fusion target, obviously, is Millenniumize Restrict to block from hand traps and remove opposing monsters. Okay, moving into my side deck for this format. So, starting my side deck off, playing 1 set rotation, 1 secret village, and 1 metaverse. Like I said, guys, I'm really trying to opt on the Necrovalley this format because it messes with so many decks. So, set rotation, just another way of getting into that. I didn't want to main deck it because I didn't really have the space for the fields. For too many field spells, I didn't want to clog it too much. Secret Village, just for those couple rogue matchups where they are completely spell heavy. Occasionally, every now and then, I get a striker matchup. Yes, Necrovalley can work quite well against strikers, but frankly, Secret Village just does the job a lot better against them. And then Metaverse, that's just, again, another way to get into a Necrovalley. The other advantage, guys, I found with set rotation during some testing I did is it's a really great way to prevent yourself from getting hit with evenly matched. Because I did a test against my friend Jude, who was testing out his Tearlaments. So I'm pretty sure I won game 1, game 2. He kind of obliterated. He kind of put me into a position where I couldn't. Anyway, I 2-0'd him. I won game 1. He opted to make me go first in game 2, and so I sided in set rotation. So it set rotation, put Necrovalley on my field, Secret Village on his field. I do know that Tearlaments have spellcasters, but it didn't matter because he didn't get the chance to go into any of that. And he told me that he sided evenly matched against me, and because I did a set rotation to put the Secret Village on his field, naturally he couldn't activate it because he had a card on the field. So it was really useful like that. Next, playing 3 Lightning Storm, just as way as a mass board breaker. So yeah, pretty standard for most matchups. The only thing I dislike with Lightning Storm is since I have to have no cards, I can't gain spell counters off it, which is annoying. Well, technically, I can't control cards. I can't control any face-up cards. So, kind of annoying. 3 Cosmic Cyclone, just for natural back row removal. Still liking this more than things like Twin Twisters or Night Beam. Just because Cyclone's a bit more reactive. I can use it a bit more easily if I have to. Next, playing 3 copies of D-Barrier. I've been going back and forth about this for months. Finally decided, you know what, I'm doing it. I feel like we're kind of just in that format now. So we've got like Tearlaments, which are fusion based, Sprites, which are primarily Xyz Sprites, and Exorcisters, which are like Xyz based. And my locals, I've got a few punk players, so stopping synchros is pretty good as well. So, and also naturally I've got Swords All players as well. So, shut out a specific summoning method that can just be game ending. Like in my most recent tournament, when I did choose to side deck Dimensional Barrier, in the match I had with my friend Jude, game 1, he made average kind of board. He was playing a synchro deck. I just, game 1, did my standard, set up spell counters, nuke his board with Mighty Master, and then swing for game. Game 2, he went first. He hit me with, I don't remember which it was either a D-barrier or an anti-spell, but essentially that shut me out for the turn, and then I just scooped because I knew with the hand I've got, I'm not playing through that. Game 3, I opened D-barrier, called synchro, so he just set a monster and pass. And then conveniently I drew into another one for my turn, so it was just like smack over everything, and he scooped. And so yeah, D-barrier I think is going to be pretty good this format. And then last cards in my side deck, playing 2 deck Devastation Virus and 1 Pancratops. So playing the 2 deck Dev because now that I'm playing the Sorcerer package, I've got a lot more access of using it. I know for a fact deck Dev is really effective against sprites because of their stats. I know it can hit Tearlaments, but naturally, because of what they do, I'm not going to use it against them. But I do know some like other decks at my locals, like Adamancipator. I'm pretty sure deck Dev can hit quite a few of the Adamancipators. Tenyu Sword Soul, it can be quite good against. Like most of the Sword Souls have higher stats, so won't hit them, but it does hit Long One, which is one of the better ones, and naturally it hits everything in the Tenyi engine. So, gonna give that a go. If I had a third one, I would be playing it. Hindsight can really be annoying at times, guys. I recently actually traded one of mine away to a friend who needed it for his deck. Now I kind of wish I had it back, which is kind of the reason I'm now playing Pancratops, because at that point I literally just had 1 spot left in my extra, so what was I gonna do? I mean, I had thoughts of things like Harpy's Feather Duster, Change of Heart, but I thought, you know, I've got a lot of back row in this deck, I'm gonna put a monster in there, so I just thought, Pancratops. Okay guys, so that was the profile. Hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below what you thought about it, and also any comments of what you feel I should be trying, or anything you're questioning of why I'm playing it. Your feedback's always really good for me to figure out new ways of playing the deck. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.